Welcome back to a rare late December episode of Whiteout Weekly. Apologies, we're not just for the Christmas occasion, but we will be because we know we're going to advance as it's the first round of the brand new 12-team college football playoff as your sixth seed Penn State Nittany Lions host the 11 and 2 Southern Methodist Mustangs. ACC runners up to Clemson at Beaver Stadium for a noon kickoff. And shout out Joel Klatt for giving us some bulletin board material about that noon kickoff. Kick it, Dave.
By the way, shocking, you can do a whiteout at noon.
Oh, so shocking. I'll do a whiteout at fucking 8 a.m., Joel Klatt. Whiteout does not have a time, it doesn't have a curfew. It doesn't have to be at night. Whiteout is an energy, it's an aura. You can do it whatever time of day. You can play it whenever, whatever. Whiteouts, it's a different environment.
He's
To
just
go
salty
along with the
about
whiteout.
the
What's
Penn
up?
State made Big Noon kickoff or Big Noon suck shirts. He's salty that he got a bad rap from that, but
Yeah, because he usually does the big noon games.
mhm.
If everyone's like, well, that
he
game
can
sucks, he's going to be like, well, no one's going to watch me.
he can go pound sand.
Yeah, go stick your head in this pile of dirt. So, yeah, it's going to be on TNT. Strange.
It's like March Madness, baby.
That's
Bunch all the
college
networks getting
football.
involved.
Yeah. Wow. Get it. TNT getting into the game.
I think it's even streaming on Max.
It is. It is. Yeah. We just literally cut the cable like 3 days ago. So I gotta go max my smart TV. But this game's gonna be windy. Windy game, gusts up to 29, 30 miles per hour. Also gonna be absolutely frigid. 27-degree weather projection, which makes for a brisk with the wind, 18-degree real field temp, according to the current AccuWeather forecast, which I have up right now. So that's been a talking point pretty much all week about this Texas team coming up to playing cold weather. And if anyone has played football, even Pop Warner, you know tackling in the cold sucks.
hmm
It shell shocks you for like 2 or 3 plays if you just get hit by someone that's so much bigger than you, which I did. Look at me all the time.
hmm
It literally shell shocks you. So this line opened when they revealed the final bracket. Penn State was -8. Now, a lot of money came in early on SMU. I believe they're close to 55% of the money on most of casinos bets. But Penn State's now bumped up to -9. So a little reverse line movement there. The total went from 52.5 now to 54, which, yeah, I totally agree with. I thought 52 was low
hmm
because of the Mustangs quarterback. Kevin Jennings, redshirt sophomore, Texas bred. They're a run first team, but he is such a dangerous quarterback to face off in a one and done elimination playoff scenario because he can escape the pocket and he's not looking when he escapes to just tuck and run it. He's looking like a Patrick Mahomes type kind of back and looking for other players to step up and make a cut to him and find him. That being said, he is second on the team in rushing with 379 yards, 5 touchdowns. And defensive coordinator Tom Allen in his presser said when he extends plays, he's looking to throw. He's looking to throw that ball downfield. And he has that ability to throw on the run with accuracy. It's really impressive. Threw for over 3,000 yards this year with a 66% completion rate, 22 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions. And hit my thesis for this is him extending plays puts so much pressure on our cornerbacks. You're going to ask a lot of them to be able to stick with all these wide receivers because he doesn't have one or two that he just like targets nonstop, spreads the love. Four different receivers with over 30 catches on the year. So let's just go in impact players. That's my number one is having our edge rushers one contain.
Hmm.
It's just every time I don't know why it's just like I guess it was that one game that we just did not have contain whatsoever against West Virginia. I forget what game it was. But contain and then also having some sort of spy linebacker position where, when he's scrambling out of the pocket, he's not just running straight for Kevin Jennings. He's also recognizing the fact that this guy likes to throw the ball as he escapes the pocket.
Yeah, Jennings definitely your big time dual threat quarterback. Interesting story too, as he was actually not QB1 to start the year. He finished out the 2023 campaign in the bowl matchup with quarterback Preston Stone, who I believe actually suffered a broken leg in that last game of the year. Jennings got a lot of the first team reps going through spring ball, fall camp as Stone rehab. Stone actually ended up starting the year, and they elected to make a change in week 3, and Jennings really took it and ran with it, and has proven that he's a big time quarterback as SMU moved to the ACC. So um, just kind of a crazy story where he was not QB1 to start the year, and here he is, playoff game. Just missed out winning the ACC, but he's a big time player.
Yeah, and you look at every game and his fingerprint is all over it, whether
Mhm.
it's having 6 turnovers versus Duke and still winning,
Yep.
or throwing 5 touchdowns, or rushing for two, throwing for three. Um, let's leave it with the offense. They are him and their running back are from what they do have 4 guys who have over 30 receptions, but it seems like him and Brashard Smith are the 1-2 combo that we really have to watch out for.
Yeah, Brashard has been a big time running back all year. He's a senior transfer from the U from Miami. Him and Jennings really run the show on offense, like you mentioned. As for Smith on the year, 217 carries, 1,270 yards, averaging just a tad shy of 6 yards per carry. He's got 14 touchdowns on the year. But when you talk about dual threat with Jennings, same thing goes with Smith, particularly in the receiving game, where he's actually second on the team in receptions with 35 on the year, 303 yards, another 4 touchdowns. Ended up netting first team all ACC honors, so big time year for Smith, and you can see it from the production. He's a small but mighty back. He's only 5'10", 196 pounds, and a lot of that is due to the fact that, speaking of him transferring from Miami, he actually began his career at Miami as a receiver,
Yeah, I was
which
about
he's
to
been
say that.
able which
The
hasn't
incredible
quite built
transition
out that
from there.
frame into a running
Yeah,
back frame, but he's still been able to be extremely productive and has been able to use that wide receiver skill set to be a huge weapon on special teams as well for the Mustangs. He's averaging just over 22 yards per kick return. So just another thing to factor in when you look at Smith and Jennings, but especially with Smith, as he has a number of different ways where he can impact the game, either on the ground, through the air, or in the return game.
that's actually a great call that I did not even think of is kick return game. It's going
Hmm.
to be really different with this wind.
Yep.
So you might not be wanting to punt to him because of his ability to return, but then the wing can just take it
Mhm.
wherever it wants. So definitely all three phases, like we say
Mhm.
every frickin' episode, has has to come
Yeah.
together. And I mentioned so they have three wide receivers who have over 30 receptions. The other one is their running back. Um, who would you say is the main target for Kevin Jennings?
Yeah, from a target share standpoint, they do love to spread the love, but his main guy is Roderick Daniels. 38 catches on the year, a yard shy of 600 for the season, only three touchdowns. But I know we're very conditioned to talking a lot and seeing a lot of Tyler Warren being used in a number of ways. Roger Daniels not nearly to that extent, but they do like to get him involved in the ground game as well. He's got 43 carries for 163 yards. So far on the season, has added a couple touchdowns
How big's he?
uh, on the ground as well, and a
Five
lot of
nine, 182. Surprising
very surprising.
that he would
Yeah.
be, yeah, featured in the backfield.
But SMU, like the scheme that they run, and offensive coordinator Casey Woods, they like to use a lot of tempo. So that's something that Penn
Mm.
State's definitely been practicing this week and the last couple of weeks leading up to the bowl game. They use their tempo to dictate the pace of the game. When you look at where the Mustangs rank nationally on the year, very favorable in a lot of categories. They're number six in the FBS in points per game with 38.5, 49th in rushing. So I think there's some opportunities for Penn State there to be able to shut that down, averaging 176 yards per game. 26th in passing with 267 yards per game, and then 20th in total offense with 443 yards. But they love to use tempo, love to get Smith, get Daniels, Jennings involved in a lot of different ways. So it's just a new change of pace for Penn State to be able to keep up with.
And you kind of saw
So it'll
that
be
in the
interesting how
Big
that
Ten
transpires
championship game with Oregon
with
running
Oregon, definitely.
high
Yeah.
tempo. You know, we kind of first half did not look good. Guys looked
Mhm.
gassed, and then it ended up killing us in the second half when guys were really gassed
Yeah,
because they were in still high tempo. So I think that was a good learning game, to be honest.
for sure.
Given that did not mention we have one of the best paths to the Final Four
Hmm.
in the bracket. So I think that yeah, that game definitely lit a fire under a lot of players' asses that like, hey, I got to get in fucking shape. They're gonna
Yeah.
run this high tempo offense on us. So I'm gonna switch over to the SMU defense, which I think is one of the most underrated defenses in certainly the college football playoff, but I think all of college football, like this
Hmm.
entire season. The biggest question, obviously, as a program like SMU making the leap to a bigger conference like the ACC, is trench play. You're going to have smaller guys against, guys who are coming out of high school at 315, only to get bigger in their respective programs.
Hmm.
And their run defense only allowed more than 4 yards per carry in three of their 13 games this season. And the leader of that defensive front is number 24 linebacker Kobe Wilson, defensive captain, Mike linebacker, leading tackler, fourth in all of college football with 110 total tackles, 50 of them solo, two passes defended, two interceptions, one for pick six. So not only can he stop the run, he's also pretty good in the pass game. And then second, not a captain, but just a playmaker, all
Hmm.
around playmaker. Number 23, Isaiah Emokobia. I think I got that right. Second leading tackler with 96 total tackles on the season and three picks. And he has played the most snaps of any Mustang defender this season. And he's kind of their Swiss Army knife who they're going to line up kind of all over the field, just like our lion position. But he's most likely to draw that Tyler Warren assignment,
Mhm.
which is huge because a lot of pundits around have been saying that Penn State's kind of Tyler Warren reliable, like reliable on Tyler Warren. That's it. And it's kind of like, well, if you can't stop him, we're just gonna keep doing our thing. Oh, besides stopping Tyler Warren, other thing I have in my mind is the turnover battle, as always, with Jennings being able to escape the pocket. It could be a, every time we have a quarterback that can extend plays, like Tom Allen said, and have our quarterbacks have to cover wide receivers for longer than expected. It's a little scary. But his stats are slightly skewed because of the Duke game, where SMU lost three fumbles and Jennings threw three interceptions.
Mhm.
So -6 turnover margin. They still won 28-27 at Duke after Duke missed a missed field goal and SMU blocked a Duke field goal.
Mhm.
So they're the first SBF team to win with a -6 turnover margin since 2011. And on road/neutral site games, they have 14 turnovers this season, seven fumbles, seven interceptions. And on the season, their percent of turnover worthy plays, 3.08 compared to Penn State's 1.36. Sorry, very nerdy stats there, but it just dives into they're going to turn the ball over. The numbers say they're going to at least turn it over once.
Mhm.
So my key matchup that we have to win is when they do turn it over, we have to convert. It can't be a field goal. Has to be a touchdown every time they turn it over.
Mhm.
You can't let any room for error in those situations. And then again, like I said before, edge rushers have to keep containment.
Yep.
Even when he breaks pocket, have to keep containment. And then I would love to see that a couple of packages where Abdul is in that spy position, just roaming around.
I think for me, I wholeheartedly agree that the edge rushers have to keep containment and have to be disciplined to keep Jennings in the pocket. I think that's definitely a great call out, and especially with Abdul and the number of different ways that you can use him and utilize him to keep tabs on Jennings, I think is going to be huge in this spot with having him where you can flip him between defensive end and linebacker with the experience that he has and the fact that he's been an All-American at both positions is huge. Um, for me, I look at yes, the defense has to come out ready to play. We didn't see that against Oregon, which was very surprising. The fact that they got down very
Yeah,
early
shellacked in the first half.
and got
Shellacked.
absolutely dusted in that first half uh, as they were able to hold their own in the second half, but being down 28-10 put them in a very early put them in a tough spot to have to climb back in that one. But even before the Oregon game, when you go back to the Maryland game, the Minnesota game, Penn State has fallen behind early. And then I know you could look at the Maryland game and say, hey, they were down early and then absolutely mollywopped Maryland. Minnesota ended up being a close game, but
I
you
love that
can't
reference. I haven't heard Molotov in a while.
can't afford to fall down early in this one. This is an environment that Penn State and that we haven't seen before. We know what the whiteout brings. We know what Beaver Stadium brings, but we're talking about December 21st, and we're hosting a home game, hosting a playoff game. So the circumstances are huge. I can tell you there's likely going to be a lot of, we mentioned where Penn State has potentially the easiest path here of all the teams in the playoff. Not to say, though, that this game, depending on how we start out, couldn't bring some very early nervous energy to that crowd. It is the given where we're at in the season, the fact that it's playoff, it is win or go home. So yes, you have that easy path, but there is a lot of pressure to win. You feel good about this matchup. You feel good about having home field advantage and 110,000 plus all wearing white behind you. But if you don't get off to that fast start, if this thing's close or if you fall down early,
Hmm.
you don't want it to where you could hear a pin drop, right? Because the players, they have to feed off that crowd. They got to feed off the energy. So I think it's imperative that they get up early and stay ahead and really use that crowd as fuel to be able to continue to feed off it through the game and hopefully be in a spot where you can just kind of put SMU away early. Um, I think a couple other factors at play here is how do you get rolling early when you talk about explosive play? Something that we didn't mention at the top, but some big news that came down this week. Beau Pribula is no longer a Nittany Lion. So
Yeah. Yeah,
sounds
that kind of
crazy.
sucks. That's right before the playoffs. They need to do something about that. You can't just transfer right before the play. Like that almost makes no sense.
They do, and I know Franklin talked about it a lot. There's been a lot of social media buzz going on behind that topic this week. It is something that definitely needs to change.
I
Really,
mean,
just the
Bo had to
window.
do what he had to do.
I
Like
give no fault to Beau.
even Drew Aller coming back, he had to do what he had to do.
Being a Penn State quarterback was his dream as a Pennsylvania kid. I mean,
Mm,
he's basically in a situation where he's got to do what's best for him. He wants to start. That Aller news 100% played into his decision, and it's either you hold out and wait till the spring, and your options are probably severely limited, or you go now and have an opportunity to potentially be a starter for a Power Four program. So definitely
yeah.
no fault to Bo on that one. He his lifelong dream was to play at Penn State, so that was a hard decision, but
He's getting a little more hate in
he's
the
getting a ton
national
of hate.
media than I would expect. Like as a Penn State fan, I don't have that amount of like malice toward him. And like people heads on ESPN, FS1 are like, this guy
Hmm.
trained with them all year. It's like, well, he's got to do what's best for him. He's a redshirt junior.
Hmm.
He was supposedly supposed to start if Al was going to go to the draft. It just happened to be that the timing sucked.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's leaving now is the difference between potentially being a star and when you look at where he's visiting. He's got visits lined up to Missouri. Hate to say it, but he's got a couple Big Ten programs in there. I think IU was on there, Iowa, which obviously we'd hate to see,
Go
but
to
if you
Iowa. Go to
could,
Iowa.
Iowa.
Have fun there, buddy.
Obviously, we'd hate to see that, but it's the difference between having an opportunity to start somewhere like that or waiting to the spring and potentially be in a spot where you got to go to Florida Atlantic and be the starter. So that's the reality of it. They definitely got to change it, but ultimately, just to kind of wrap up on here is I think that's going to be a factor. Yes, it's crazy. He's QB2. You don't expect to see him a lot, but we utilize him a hell of a lot.
No, I mean
So,
you have to throw out probably like an entire page worth of plays
mhm. So
because
it'd be
he was in
yeah.
them.
So
Like,
it's
you know?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Do they throw that out? Do they, I mean, sounds crazy to say, do they look to get Warren involved even more? Do you look to get some other guys in that spot? Maybe an Amari Evans, maybe some other guys that have some speed that you can maybe look to utilize in some different packages. So that's definitely a factor. And I think, getting ahead early alleviates some of that pressure of having to generate some plays that you're potentially missing out on without having Bo. So ultimately, got to start fast, keep the crowd in it, and that we should be able to be talking about the Fiesta Bowl next week.
Yes. So speaking starting fast, we talked about it last week. That was like our main concern. Starting fast, getting points against an Oregon team that can obviously speed it up and get points whenever they want. Fell down 28-10 with at the end, no, 10 minutes left in the second quarter. So that's kind of like, and then you only lose by 8 points, kind of like, like that tough start bites you in the ass.
Yep.
You might not see it at the time, but yeah, ends up crushing you. So let's go with our first ever Iron Lions to watch for this game. You want to go do the honors of going first?
Love to do the honors.
first ever college football Iron Lion.
Here we go, baby. So for me, we've talked about a little bit. I'm sticking on the defensive side of the ball. The this group was your key to the game in regards to the edge rushers and holding containment. For me, I'm going with Abdul Carter. Uh,
Mhm.
First team unanimous All American, which was a huge honor for him and for Penn State. First team All Big Ten. Love the eye black that he wears, Big Ten bully. I know this isn't a Big Ten game. It's a playoff game, but I think this is a great opportunity for him to shine. Despite those accolades and those honors that I just rattled off, it still seems, I know we see it firsthand, his impact on the game. We talk about the ways they can be utilized. And yes, he's definitely solidified himself into, I think easily top 10, potentially even top five round draft status when you talk about in April. But it still seems like there's still could just be a gut feeling, but I think there's an audience out there, a college football audience that still hasn't necessarily been exposed to Abdul Carter, which I think this is a big time stage for him. I mean, Saturday when you look at that slate, probably the best college football slate that you could ask for.
Football. Football slate, too. We
Football
got
slate. We got some
Ravens,
NFL in there as
Steelers.
well.
Yeah, we got Saturday's
So
gonna
it's
be
a
fucking sick.
it's a big time football slate. Penn State's got the first crack at it. They got the noon game. They're the first one. The first game of the or sorry, no, there's a playoff game on Friday night. So I was gonna say it was the first 12 team playoff game, second one, but first game on Saturday. So I think it's an opportunity for him. I mean, they got double digit sacks, almost 20 tackles for loss. He earned every accolade that he's gotten, but like I said, I think this is another opportunity for him to show not just scouts, but even just a college football world what he's capable of. And not even just that, but I think an opportunity to have a huge impact on this game.
Yeah. And so we obviously were huge fans of him as a
Hmm.
freshman. Just seeing the way he could blitz the A gap from the linebacker position to get to the
Hmm.
quarterback, literally as he's catching the ball from the snap, just sacking
Hmm.
him.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is, I've never seen anything like that. Like, that's
Yeah.
unreal. And then having him, I was a little skeptical about the transition to edge rusher.
Hmm.
Then seeing his development as an edge rusher, using different hand techniques, spin,
Hmm.
dip under, it's just whatever NFL team gets him in the top 10 is just gonna get
Yeah.
probably one of the best players in college football, not even knowing it.
Hmm.
Because you can, like I said with Cooper DeJean when the Eagles drafted him, you can mess him up. You have 5 positions to mess him up at. That's how good that guy is.
Hmm.
Abdul Carter, you 4 basically positions in the NFL that you can mess him
Hmm.
up at. That's how good
Hmm.
that guy is. You can play
Yeah.
4 separate positions. If he doesn't fit any of those 4, then you gotta let him go. But there's
Hmm.
no chance that he's not gonna fit one of those 4 and just
Yeah.
be a prime time athlete at the next level.
Hmm.
So I totally agree. I'm gonna stick with another big time name, Nicholas Singleton. Good old Saint Nick, just in time for the holidays. Last 4 games, he's been averaging 8.1 yards every time he touches the ball. That's crazy.
Same.
Like I no, I haven't seen that stat anywhere. I had to calculate that. That's insane. That's almost a first down every time this guy touches the ball over the last 4 games. The last 3 consecutive games, he's had over 100 scrimmage yards.
Hmm.
Like I said before, I think Southern Methodist Mustangs are probably one of the most underrated Power Four defenses in this college playoff. But if you play football, you know tackling in the cold sucks. We have a 17 real feel temperature degrees that day. We've seen Nick Singleton lower his shoulder and
Hmm.
take dudes out. You do that in 18-degree weather, that guy's going to be out of it for a couple series or so.
Mhm.
And not to mention, we have Kaytron Allen, aka Fat Man, who is known for running over people, but also has the shiftiness to just jump cut and just
Mhm.
break dudes' ankles. So I think, again, sucks to tackle in the cold. And if you just get those jabs of just having to tackle those guys who are just mashing and bashing you every single play, it's eventually going to wear that SMU defense down. If Tyler Warren is covered up and just completely blanketed from the game plan, I expect after the mash and bash combo of Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen wearing them down, Amari Evans could be a big factor on a deep play, on a low play action play. Never know what the big Zamboni's going to draw up.
Yeah.
But I do think that running those two, because last week they or in the Big Ten championship they got 10 carries each,
Hmm.
which I guess will change because of Beau not being there now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm drawing up a game plan for this, I'm saying tackle these, try to tackle these dudes as much as possible. It's
Hmm.
only going to wear down your defense and lead us to some open plays.
Yeah, Penn State's offense is definitely these last few weeks. You could definitely tell that Singleton's been getting healthy. They haven't come out and said anything. I know he missed some action early in the season, but he's definitely had been dealing with some nagging injury throughout the year, and there's been a lot of comments from the coaching staff, from players, that he's finally back to feeling 100%. You could see it last couple of weeks. I mean, definitely in the Big Ten championship game, but the couple of weeks leading up to as well. And this offense is just so different when he's at 100% and just able to get involved in so many different ways between, like you said, just 8.1 yards per touch, just get him the ball in open space and
And just bring in energy, you know?
just a different energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah,
So it's been cool to watch.
it's awesome. So I'm wrestling with this in my head. Does he go off to the NFL this year, given the kind of stacked running back class they have?
My suspicion would be that one of them would go. I would expect to see
Kaytron
one
or
of Kaytron or Singleton back next year. If you had me pick, I think Kaytron would probably be the one that goes. Only because you kind of know what you get from Kaytron.
yeah,
Uh,
he's already
and I
got the
think
NFL body, so it's
he's
like,
got the NFL body, and another year of that could just be viewed, unfortunately, as just an additional year of wear and tear.
yeah, tread on the
Even
tires.
though he doesn't get a ton of carries. So if you ask me right now, I think Kaytron goes and Singleton's back.
That's tough because I'm assuring they're definitely good friends. So it's
Yeah,
like, you, hey, are you gonna stay? Like, what do we do here?
yeah.
So with that, what is your prediction for noon Penn State in the 12 team playoff? -9 spread. Big over under 54.
I'm nervous about the spread, just given that
Weird 9. I hate 9.
it's a weird nine.
Favorite. That's my least favorite
Yeah,
bet to place. -9.
I would lean to say that they don't cover that. I think Penn State wins this one. Again, I feel very confident. It's just like I think it's just that nervous energy where it's win or go home. Yes,
Hmm.
it's home. Those things should all play in our favor. When you look at the talent across the board, Penn State's talent is superior to SMU, not far and wide, but I think the athletes that we have are enough to be able to win this game. If you ask me for score prediction, I go somewhere in the ballpark of 28-20, 28-21. So I think they cover by about a touchdown. And I don't know that they hit that over, so that's where I'd land at the 28-21 mark.
Yeah, so that Oregon game really s- surprised me of
Yeah.
Penn State's lethalness on offense, and they're
Hmm.
supposed to play. So seeing that the money is on SMU, people thinking that SMU can score points, can move the ball against this Penn State defense, going from 52 and a half to 54. I sort of like because they're going to score. So I'm going to go 35 Penn State, 27 SMU. So that would be 68.
Hmm.
Two touchdowns above the total. Yeah.
62, right? 35-27.
Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. 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 I think it's be high scoring.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, like we said, Tom Allen has a tough time in the first half, kind of
Yeah.
balancing everything that's going on. Once he gets in the halftime locker room, I think he's just in grind mode, just
Yeah.
dominating because you can see it in the second half. We literally kind of know their play, like of the
Hmm.
opponent's plays throughout the game after halftime. So yeah, that's one big thing that we are both on. We
Hmm.
cannot have a slow start like we did against Oregon, where we're down 18 points in the
Yeah.
first half, because that's it's not sustainable if you're gonna
Hmm.
try to make the Final Four potential national champion. So, thank you all for listening to our first college 12 team college football playoff preview. Number 6, Penn State. Number 11, SMU. And now, for all those who want it, we're getting into the Big Ten Betting Bonanza Bowl Season Edition. Here we go. So, considering that I have a 31 Bonanza point lead to your 16, have the first pick, sir. First pick, sir.
Oh, dead man walking.
First pick. That was.
And well, because you let me go first and you're so generous, and in light of this being the first ever 12-team college football playoff, I figure I must start with the first game, which kicks off on Friday evening. It's an interstate matchup. You got the Hoosiers taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame favored in this one by 7. I am feeling the Kurt Signetti vibe of these Hoosiers, and I'm going money line. I got it at plus 215.
Yep.
Hoosiers go into South Bend.
That was
They
my
ride
first
the
pick.
vibes of the season, and
That
and
was
they
my
come
first
out
pick.
and get the
Oh,
dub outright.
damn it. Literally. Right there. Indiana money line. I could be a real asshole and just take the +7, but I'm not gonna do that. That's no fun. That's no fun at all. So all right, now I gotta get weird. So the team total for SMU against Penn State is for a fair odds 21 and a half. Under is -130. So a little, is that acceptable? Or 20 and a half is -110.
For SMU.
SMU
Yep,
team total points.
it's fair.
I know I said my final score is going to be 35-27, but I'm going to take SMU under 20 and a half points here. I mean, looking at their schedule, it's like they struggled against Boston
Mhm.
College.
Yep.
Like, come on. They're home too,
Yeah.
Boston College. Like, I get that people want to hype up these games, like, oh, like there could be some upsets, but I just think the first round is not Indiana might be a good one, but I just think the first round is not prime for upsets.
Right.
It's really the second round, given that the conference champions are playing.
Hmm.
So that pick is SMU under 20, not 21, 20 and a half total points, minus 110.
All right. All right.
I,
Pick number
I
two.
believe.
I am going to go to Clemson versus Texas. Over under in this game, I got it 51 and a half. This is a good QB matchup. I know there's been a lot of controversy around Quinn Ewers in Texas and folks wanting to see Arch Manning, but nonetheless, Texas can still put up some points. And Cade Klubnik has shown a lot with his mobility this year, keeping plays alive, be able to put points on the board. So I feel pretty confident taking the over in this one, over 51 and a half.
It's very cool. I like that pick a lot. Did you see the ridiculous? I don't know if this was I got or not, but that Belichick's like offering like the Godfather like an offer he can't refuse to Arch Manning to come to UNC.
I did see that. I saw something along the lines where they were going to offer both Quinn and Arch to try to get one of them,
Wait, both?
trying to basically pry one of those
Oh,
QBs
one.
away
Okay.
from Texas.
What if they both are like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're in.
Like, we're in the same situation. All right, so over
51 and a half.
51 and a half there. That will be slipped over to my card as well. We're gonna go. We're gonna double up on this Penn State SMU game,
Oh,
and this time we're gonna go with the Penn State team total. Now this is an obscure bet. I've never done this before. Penn State team total points in the second half over 16 and a half. How about that?
that's sadistic.
How about that play? Just got to score 17 in the second half. We're a second half team, baby.
You were feeling yourself when you said anything's on the table,
Free money. Oh, anything's on the table. You can take a touchdown score for three if you want.
huh? All right, final pick. Go into the shoe. Yeah, Tennessee gets Ohio State. Ohio State rolling into this one after that brutal loss at the end of the year to Michigan. One of the fun things I don't know if you call it fun, but things to check out on Twitter, social media as we're leading up to these first round of playoff games is for me that's been interesting to see is the ticket sales. Something funny to see with this one is I believe Ohio State's going for I guess you would call it the Scarlet out with all red in the stands. And the college football playoff, I believe, dictates the ticket sales and shrinking of student section. I think Penn State's seen a little bit of that, where the student section's been shrunk a little bit to maximize general ticket sales. But don't know if it'll hold true or not. But I've seen some funny things where Tennessee, based on what's been purchased, is plotting against to ruin the Scarlet out for Ohio State. Have a
I
whole
love
bunch
that.
of orange and white and checkering the shoe. So it'll be interesting to see what type of turnout we have here. But ultimately, all that to be said, spread here is 7.5 in favor of Ohio State. I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State came away with this win, but I think 7.5 is just a hair higher than where I think this will finish. I think I could see either one winning by a touchdown. So I'm going to take Tennessee plus 7.5.
Another great pick. I had that on my board as well. And I knew you were going to take something in that game. So I'm sticking with this game. And I'm trying to figure out again. We'll go, okay. Uh, so I'm going Ohio State team total points. I think Tennessee's defense is for real.
Hmm.
I don't think this is going to be the shootout matchup that everyone's thinking about. I think it's going to be a ground and pound, hard fought trench warfare.
Hmm.
So I'm taking Ohio State's team total points under 26 and a half, and that's plus 100. W money on that.
All over the team totals. Hot to
I know
tell.
I really didn't have any leans for the games because it's like a -9 spread, 7.5.
Yeah, house spreads.
So, you can take the risk, I would say,
Mhm.
on the underdogs this round. Or sorry, take the favorites this round. Take the
Hmm.
underdogs next round. Because this
Hmm.
round, I think, is going to be a little tough for those teams, especially traveling. It's not a
Hmm.
neutral site.
Yep.
You're not having any kind of home field advantage coming your way. So
Yep.
yeah, I think that's going to play a huge factor. And so I don't think there's a mathematical way for you to come back.
Think I'm toast. I think I'm gonna go start purchasing my bubble wrap on a nice box.
Which, by the way, big news. Bought a house.
Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah, and the PA Philadelphia suburbs, Malvern.
Let's go. When's the moving
Very
date?
excited. Very excited. Living
When's the
in
moving?
nature, living in the woods.
When's the moving date?
Um, I'm thinking probably March. My
Okay. I
apartment in Philly's up in April, so March.
was gonna say this dumbbell could be your very first housewarming gift.
Oh, but that's gonna be.
But you'll get it sooner
As
than
soon as you
that.
walk in, you know how they have like there's like a little table with a glass thing above it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be there. My house. Thank you, everyone, once again for listening, liking, reading, however you engage with Whiteout Weekly. We sincerely support it from the bottom of our heart. We love doing this. Love Penn State football. Love talking about it. Love getting together every week, having a conversation about our favorite team. And one of the cool sports, I have to say, in all the world. It's up there with like professional soccer in terms of just like the fanhood and
Hmm.
the pageantry and just everything like that. Does not get enough credit. I think it will soon get the credit that it deserves as the NAL kind of figures itself out. But that's for another day.
Hmm.
Let's go state first playoff game, baby. I cannot express how excited I am for this game. So I have a Christmas cocktail party with the Italian side of my family.
Hmm.
So we're doing like the seven fishes, which I don't even think is really Italian at all. I think that was just like Italian Americans bringing that. But I don't know if I can stay sober until the dinner. It's noon game. I'm gonna be like, I need a drink.
Yeah.
I can't soberly
Absolutely.
watch this game.
Not with that slate.
Nah, no way. No chance. So
The
thank you guys
beef
once
packed
again.
pre-Christmas. Oh,
Yeah. And
4 days
then
till Christmas. Beaver
going
Stadium
down
packed.
to
Who would have thunk it?
going down to Florida as well. So
Mm,
next podcast might be in Florida, baby.
let's go.
Again, thank you all for supporting Whiteout Weekly. We could not do it without you. Again, if there's any way that you can support us, like, subscribe, whatever platform you're on, please do it as we can remain independent and give you our true feelings without anybody telling us what to do. And we're going to keep this train rolling until the wheels fall off, which could lead into January.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put that out there.
On the
National
road to the
championship,
Natty, baby.
January 20th. Weird. Well, very late for a national championship. One game at a time, though. Beat SMU. Beat those Methodists. And we'll see you next week after a big win.
Post Christmas. Let's get it done.